Score Position podcast. I'm resident runner and second Bill Kyrus, joined by a man who is the only one to give his email to Coinstar. He's on around here as the runner on third because he's always about to score. Travis Spins. Travis, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. How you doing?
Good, man. That was a hell of a game we just watched. Huh?
Amazing. The Washington National Football Team, as you like to call them, versus KC. Guys, if you were just tuning in, it is October 2nd. We just finished the Monday night game. We're going to have this uploaded tomorrow. We are the Men in Scoring Position podcast. We are a sports-related podcast. You can find us on anyone, sports adjacent, if you will. And you can find us on any one of our social media platforms, Facebook, SoundCloud, iTunes, all self-titled Men in Scoring Position. You can also find us on SoundCloud and Twitter and Snapchat, at Men in Scoring POS. You can also find us on Gmail at menandscoringpod@gmail.com. And if you have any thoughts, comments, general overall points of view, you can always find us on our Facebook page, and you can hit us up on YouTube, which we are exclusively through. And Billy, what do they always need to do?
Rate, review, and subscribe.
Tell a friend.
Oh, I mean, you can tell a friend if you'd like, I guess.
Well, what if you had a plethora of friends?
I would say if you had a group of friends of which you were close to and you guys had similar likes, including football-related podcasts, yes, you should tell them.
Well, speaking of football and speaking of this time of year, what is the one thing that you put on the table around Thanksgiving?
Cornucopia, if you will.
All right, there he is, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Thank you so much for staying through all of that. We are going to do our quick Quips segment, our Feeling Fine, Riding the Pine recap. And boy, Bill, was it an insane weekend.
Oh, boy, Trav. Yes, it was. Starting off in jolly old London town.
Jolly old London town.
New Orleans Saints 20, Miami Goose Egg.
Hey, wait, time out. I just have to interject. Jay Cutler's Wildcat formation is phenomenal. Please tell me you saw that.
It was the best Wildcat performance I've seen since that.
Dude, he didn't even lock his knee.
I don't even know.
He didn't even lock his knee.
Since watching North Dallas 40 with those Wildcats back in the age of Nick Nolte, that's the best. Yeah, it was. Oh my God, that was.
Dude, like, what do you do at that point? Like, is it just kind of one of those things where you're like, okay, we know
guy who's been on record saying, I don't need to be in shape. I'm a quarterback. Oh my God. So the fact that the Saints shut out someone is pretty amazing. But when you look at the fact that Jay Cutler, who stops trying if it's hard, it's not that amazing.
Right,
but I think this also shows that the Saints really aren't that bad. And there was that stat that I think I said a couple podcasts ago about how they're really bad the first two games of the season. They kind of treat it almost as a preseason still.
You're right.
And they're 2-2 now, and they beat a Miami team with at least talent on it. It's not like they're a good team, but they have talent.
Well, I'm not quick, and I don't mean to cut you off, buddy, but I'm not quick to ride that Saints train just yet, just because I feel like the Dolphins have always had that talent, at least for the past 3 or 4 years, and Jay Cutler doesn't change that. So. Yes, they have Adam Gase. Yes, they're in a tough division. But at the end of the day, it's still the Saints versus the Dolphins. I like that they are finishing the second half of the first quarter strong, but I'm not on that Saints train just yet.
No, and I get that. Maybe that's just me being afraid of them because we, as the Buccaneers fan, we have to play them twice a year. And Drew Brees looked really solid, and that defense, I mean, it's not going to light up the world, but if they can hold the other team to 20 points a game, I mean, they have a legit chance to win every single week. It's a fast defense. It's got a couple first-round picks on there with the kid, I think Sheldon Rankins last year. They got Marshawn Lattimore this year. Alex Alonze, or the kid from UF, the linebacker when he comes back too. I mean, that's Cameron Jordan. Has some names on that defense.
Right. And then, like we were talking about the other day when you were over, we were saying, look at the Pats defense. Statistically, they're last in the league. They just do what it takes. They're a more successful version of the Saints. So if they can kind of model themselves, there obviously is a recipe for success in that regard. Just outscore your opponent and make sure that you don't make any really dumb special teams and or defensive mistakes.
I mean, it's the base cliche. Just don't lose it for your team, and you'll be
right.
Let Drew
Right.
Brees do his thing. Michael Thomas is a stud. You got
Right.
Alvin coming out of the backfield.
Thomas is really, I was actually, not to get to ride the Saints too much, but I'm really weary of like rookies, so on and so forth. Like, yeah, you get your Brandon Cooks and your Marquise Colsons, but when you get Michael Thomas coming in, I'm like, I'm not ready for it. But then, you got to realize Mark Ingram's a stud, and they have weapons on offense, and then you throw a guy like Breeze whose down year is 4,900 yards. Anything can happen.
They're a dangerous team no matter what, and if that defense can do anything, that's really scary just having to see them twice a year.
Right.
Moving on to a game that I was excited about, and I think I was alone in being excited about it, and it turns out I was, I guess, wrong about that, or I don't know how you want to describe it, but the Jets end up beating the Jaguars 23-20 in overtime. This was a game that I was saying I wanted to see the Jags win because I have a weird soft spot for the Jags. And this is
did they jag it?
I would say they jagged it. Man, that was just like, it's not like I'm disappointed because I actually care, but at the same time, this is a team that has spent a lot of money in the past couple of years. The owner has spent a lot of money on defense. This is a team that has been on the come up, quote unquote, for the past couple of years and been predicted to be like a dark horse playoff team. And this is a game you have to win. And you're coming off a big win against Baltimore, 44-7, and you just blow this game in overtime, give up 160 yards to Bilal Powell, and you just don't look good.
Well, you know what? Don't downplay. And this isn't an attack on you, but don't downplay Bilal Powell. I mean, he is a receiving back. He on any given Sunday can be a difference maker, especially with the low.
Disagree. He is not a receiving back. He's the guy that needs to have 30 carries to get 90 yards. This is the first game he's had over 150 since last year when he had 200 in the one game. But he's the guy who needs to be the predominant back. He's not the receiving back.
Well, I mean, there is a reason that he is a big pickup in PPR leagues, man. I mean, like he does catch out of it. Like he's not the guy. He's not like an Adrian Peterson who's always going to drop it in the flat. You know what I mean? Like he brings it into his chest. He turns it upfield for 4 yards. You just don't realize it.
This isn't receiving. This is running. He
right. Like you know what?
Down the heart of that defense. Yeah.
I digress. Let me step out of that. I just want to say that with the Jaguars, there is more to blame with them than like the surface eye gives. Like so, for instance, like Blake Bortles, he had a good game. Great. That's what they were writing. Yeah. Okay, so Mercedes Lewis, is he past his time? Like, do we need to kind of move on? Like, I just feel like the whole offensive scheme as a whole, like, needs to go young with the Leonard Fournette. Maybe improve that offensive line a little more because, yes, like you said, their defense is a top-tier defense in the NFL, man, with Telvin Smith, with Jalen Ramsey, you know what I mean? I mean, they got guys.
Calais Campbell. I mean, they absolutely do have names. They have
Calais
guys.
Campbell, yeah.
And this is a team that, I mean, they should have won that game.
I just feel like their offense doesn't fit the personnel that they have. You know what I mean? Almost like the Bears with Glennon. It's just one of those things where it's not a smooth operating.
Sure. I mean, they tried to create the 49ers template from a few years ago when Harbaugh came in, and he was the power running team with a really good defense with the athletic quarterback, and they just don't have the offensive line for it just yet. But I think handing the ball to Fournette 27 times a game is very, very smart. They should have won that game, and they did it, and that's just a game that for me, it's just showing that I'm not going to think they're going to win the AFC South. Like I thought they would. I thought they had a chance to, and they probably still will be in the hunt, but I just don't. I'm like, I'm not really going to root for them anymore.
Well, let me ask you a question. If you're a fledgling franchise that invested a bunch of money and you have a solid defense and you pick up a guy like Leonard Fournette, I mean, what are your options at that point? You know what I mean? You have to hand the rock off and then hope that Bortles doesn't. That's
what
up.
I'm saying.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying it's kind of common. It's what else are you gonna do? You got to hand the rock off, and then you dump off to your current day Marx Brothers, if you will.
And this is going to be a more score line that we see where it's close versus the 44-7. That's what you're saying is moving on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like these are the guys that are going to win. I know, and this is just, I know that the Jets won 23-20, but they're the guys that are going to win 23-20, or they're the guys that are going to win, 14-10 kind of deal. It's not going to be pretty. Sure. It's not going to be fun. It's almost going to be like Seahawks-esque if they can find that formula that makes it turn. Because with the defense that they have, buddy, I mean, I want them to win. I really do.
That's what I'm saying. But if they don't win against the Jets, it's like, dude, I'm done with you, bro.
Well, the Jets are 500, brother. It's wild. It's wild to even think that.
They beat the Browns. All right, so moving on.
The Jets are winning the Super Bowl, I think.
To an actual shellacking.
The Texans.
Oh my God! Fucking Houston, 57-14 over Tennessee.
Can I take this, teacher?
Watson.
I will say that I will. We run a sports podcast, and I don't think anybody saw this coming. This was nuts. What? 57-14?
No, not like
no
this.
Vaseline. Jeez.
Last week we had our buddy Fred on. He was talking about how much you like Tennessee. And I was like, I just don't trust them. Did I see Houston beat the crap out of them like this? No, absolutely not.
Dude, they put up 20 points in the fourth quarter alone.
What's that?
They put up 20 points in the fourth quarter alone.
Yeah, I know. And it was, I mean, they put up 30 in the first half, and they just looked really good. And just Watson looked fluid, and he had a good rapport with Hopkins, and he looked good throwing the ball to Fuller, and Lamar Miller looked really good.
That's just digress on that, man. It was Watson. It was Watson.
This is still a really bad offensive line, but this was a really good performance by a really good young quarterback who has shown year in, year out at Clemson that he deserves to play in the NFL, and he has a lot of talent around him, and like the aforementioned Hopkins and Fuller and Lamar Miller, and he had 5 total touchdowns, which is, I mean, he looked really, really good. He got pulled in the fourth quarter because they were up by too much. I mean, how often does a rookie quarterback get pulled in the fourth quarter because you're up by too much?
I mean, buddy, we're gonna get into our feeling fine riding the pine, but I'm really stoked about this kid.
You did really well this week with him. All right.
Well, with him, I think I'm 500 across the board. I don't want to toot my own horn, but no, he's a stud, man, and I'm really pumped because if there's one thing that team needs is a quarterback, and I was ready to call the head of Bill O'Brien,
sure.
but now that they finally brought him in. Let's just kind of see how it transpires. Again, we're talking about another 2-2 teams. So, it's early in the season, but 57-14 doesn't lie. I think they averaged maybe 15 to 17 points a quarter. I mean, that's elite.
That's amazing.
So
I mean, that was a pretty one-sided game. I'm gonna go over a few of the more boring games, at least as far as I'm concerned.
Let's maintain our listeners, Bill. Let's do this.
Unless you want to, I mean, not boring.
No, we got
never
to.
Boring.
Yeah, right.
Arizona 18, San Francisco 15. Okay. Moving on. Denver 16.
Field goal.
Denver 16, Oakland 10. This one's big, not because of the end of not because of the score right there, not because of the win and loss, but Derek Carr's out. I think 4 to 6 weeks at least with a a transverse process fracture.
Yeah.
Now, your spine, the way it works, I kind of drew a picture. If the listeners at home can see, that one's a little rough to see.
Be sure to check us out on YouTube. Plug.
Yes, absolutely. So, basically, the way your vertebrae works is there's a few bones that stick out the backside, the posterior side. They're called transverse processes. Now, if you fracture one of these, it's really hard to do because it has to be an extreme twisting or a legitimate it would have to be hit head on. Now, if it's fractured, it'll heal by itself. Surgery is not usually required, but it takes at least 4 to 6 weeks to maintain that same spinal function. Now, as a quarterback,
wait, time out. That's fascinating. Are you kidding? Like, there's nothing like it has nothing to do with like athleticism or anything like that. It's just the body's process of healing at that point.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Really?
That one is not a surgery because it's very rare. A, and then B, it's also something that you can start to regain spinal function in 4 weeks. But in a sport like football, especially for a quarterback, I guess any position you're playing because there's a lot of stress on there.
But, but it's when
you're rearing back and you're throwing. I mean, that is excruciating, brutal pain if it doesn't fully heal. So this could be a bigger deal than they're saying right now. I mean, of course they're gonna pump him full of fucking lidocaine and Vicodin and all that
So
shit,
basically, what you're saying is that it's time for this car to switch to manual.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Was that good? Do you like that?
That somewhere? That's pretty good.
Off the top, baby.
That's pretty good. So I guess moving forward, it's going to be EJ Manual.
Right.
For at least
a lot more of the running game, I believe. Dump off passes and running game.
I'm saying 6 to 8. At the very. This is just my very minimal knowledge about the spine and all that, but that's a big deal. You don't fuck with spinal injuries.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I'm educated at this point. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know. I was just like, you feel like these guys are superhuman and that they can just kind of come back from it within. Okay, it's 4 weeks, right? No, that means 2 because Carr's the guy. No, it's in this particular situation. No, it may be half the season, which is unfortunate because Oakland to me is a really exciting, really well-rounded, really well-coached team. Yeah. So that's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. You want to move into another really unfortunate injury? Let's just get these out of the way.
Yeah, let's just beat people up.
Fucking A. Detroit 14, Minnesota 7. Dalvin Cook's out for the year with a torn ACL.
I literally was avoiding bringing this up because I know. You know what? Just tell the listeners from start to finish your Dalvin Cook predictions, your feelings about this kid, and so on. And so forth.
I love the kid coming out of FSU. I thought he was.
Which I, for the record, I backed you up. I'm like, I think in the long run, he's going to be Rookie of the Year. But
what's funny is we're not wrong in the fact that he could have easily won Rookie of the Year. Not easily, but he could have won Rookie of the Year, and he's a really good player. He just tore his ACL. Like, I mean, that it happens, and that sucks, and he's out for the year.
I feel like we should be at the time of fixing this now. Like, I don't know if you do, but I watch a lot of Real Sports with Brian Gumbel and a lot of, like, these really interesting, like, I listen to a lot of other amazing podcasts because we are amazing. And and they're saying, like, there's so many things that you can do to repair these ACL tears with, like, blood counts and just, like, stem cells and all this really awesome, innovative stuff. And it's like, this is still the thing that's limiting and hindering our players for 6 weeks at a time when it's a 16-week schedule and they may play 15 games. Like, I feel like medically, like, we're behind the curve on this. And you as a science major, like, come on.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, if these players could be bionic, I'd be all for it and just watch for about it.
If they could just be Inspector Gadget and just entertain me every weekend, that'd be great.
I mean, Detroit played really well against Minnesota. It was still Case Keenum, and although Minnesota looked really good against my team last week, the Buccaneers, this week they went down to, or it came down to earth, if you will. Feelin was okay. Diggs was really good.
Yeah.
Rudolph looked pretty decent, but I mean, without Dalvin Cook's
in the Vikings
stud, man. Dalvin Cook was so good.
In the Vikings defense, though, the Lions didn't really score anything until the third quarter, and they scored 11.
That's the thing, is always been Minnesota's defense. Minnesota's defense is stellar. It's a really good defense.
Amazing. Yeah. One of the best safeties in the game. One of the best.
Harrison Smith,
best, if not one of the best in Xavier Rhodes. So,
was it Fred? Fred was saying Xavier Rhodes thinks the number one cornerback in the league,
and that's an arguable point. I per se would not agree. I think, like, when I think best, I think Patrick Peterson because he's so well rounded and he's so athletic. But that's neither here nor there. So
Pat Pete, he's really good.
Hey, the Lions are 3-1, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely, they are 3-1, and. Yeah, I mean, they're going to be a team that's going to stick in a lot of games because it's weird to say this. Maybe I should stop saying it's weird to say this.
Lions win the Super Bowl.
No, third or fourth year in a row where it's like they're relying on their defense to win games. I was so used to those Lions teams that had such a bad defense these past couple of years. They've totally revamped their defense. Their defense is actually the strong point of this team.
Yeah. And you know what? Don't take anything away from Stafford, man, just because it's a low-scoring game. I mean, he's been one of my favorite quarterbacks for a very long time, and I play him I play him personally. We play him in the division every year, twice, and he's just a baller, man. He's kind of like He's just a ball player. He goes.
He plays ball.
He plays football for a living.
Yeah, you guys play him twice a year, and you personally play him 5 times a year on Madden. I get that. Moving on to a blowout game, the Battle of the Ohio Nose.
Oh, geez.
Cincinnati
31-7.
Cleveland 7.
How do the Browns still stay relevant at 0-4, man? I'm still on Deshaun Kaiser. I don't know what it is.
He looks like a rookie, and Dalton looks sharp. That's it. That's my only takeaways from there.
Really? Dalton's
25 33 touchdowns.
No, you're right. You're right. He put up 20. He put up 21 in the second. I get it.
You gotta play the games in which you're scheduled. So, hey, man, you took care of business. The Jaguars didn't take care of business.
I thought this was a no cliche podcast. I thought we agreed on that.
We're only cliches. Moving on to the National Football League.
Okay.
Pittsburgh 26, Baltimore 9.
I could have not been more wrong. I don't know if you guys.
I'm glad you admit that.
If you guys listened to episode 41, I said that Big Ben was trash against the Ravens, but I guess every dog has its day. I mean, he was.
Every dog has his day. He has 2 Super Bowls.
No. Right. Against this is what matters. In 9 matchups prior to this would have been the 10th. He was. I actually have the numbers here. I can look him up if need be, but he was just. He's not good against them, but I think they went. Yeah, he put up 16 in the second. They were 26-9 at the end of the game, and now the Steelers are 3-1. And it's like that's all you need to do is get that ball rolling. You know what I mean? With Le'Veon and Antonio, it's like Jesus.
I think Roethlisberger wasn't that great in this game, but he did enough to win. Lev Bell it was Lev Bell's show. He had 35 carries for 144 yards. 144 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Brown and Bryant kind of stayed quiet throughout the game,
right?
But it was a Lev Bell show, and they were up early, and they made Flacco their bitch.
I do want to remind our listeners why it is that I went against Ben Roethlisberger in road games. He averages less than Cutler and Josh McCown against the Ravens in 9 career games. He's never thrown for more than 300. 8 total touchdowns and 12 interceptions. So I was just, there's no way I was going to pick that. The Ravens owned him for, in the last 3 games, I think prior to this one, he was 1 touchdown for 4 interceptions. So
no, and I'm a stats guy, as we all know that. I'm a stats guy.
We all know it. We're going to assume we all know.
And I mean, not starting Big Ben fantasy-wise is for me on the road is a good idea, especially against Baltimore, who has a really good defense and usually does really well against him and the team total. But Lev Bell he wore them down throughout the game, and that's what you can do when you have probably the best running back in the game. That's what you can do. You can rely on Lev Bell when Le'Veon Bell when Ben Roethlisberger is not doing so hot or not, absolutely can.
Well, I mean that's what I don't think any one of us could pick up a game of Madden and not see any one of those guys be under 92. You know what I mean? Like that's an awesome. It's the modern day triplets, if you will.
Oh yeah. Moving on to a more exciting game, at least for me. I find these games exciting, and Philadelphia 26. Los Angeles Chargers 24.
It's a Chargers game, man. You got to find it interesting. You have to.
I do too. So they lost.
No, buddy.
They lost 24-10 to the Chiefs, right? Their other 3 losses. No, you're funny. You're a funny person. Their other 3 losses, right, were by 3, 2, and 2. They're just a team that can't win at the end of the game. They had a chance to stop LeGarrette Blount. They didn't. And I mean, this was.
Do you like Nick? Do you like Nick Offerman?
For me, it was disappointing.
Because they're 0 for 4.
Nice, bro.
Was that good?
It was disappointing because I picked them for my eliminator pool in 2 leagues. So that was. I thought the whole East Coast West Coast thing would help out, but man, whatever. They lost at the end when they should have won.
This isn't
That's
90s
a
rap.
Chargers thing.
This isn't 90s rap.
Could you stop? This is an East Coast West Coast thing. As far as teams from the East Coast traveling to the West Coast and playing a game, and it's like the winning percentage is 400, whatever you want to call it, and it didn't work out for me in the end, and I'm not sad about it at all.
Oh, he lights a fire. The main thing I will say, if I had to quick quip this game, would be the fact that the Chargers just they got to come out the gate stronger. They didn't do anything in the first quarter.
Sure.
Barely did anything in the first half, and it's too little, too late with these guys more often than not. Man, they're 0-4 for a reason. I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know if it's your beloved Rivers, but I feel like on paper they should be getting it done. On defense, they got Bosa, and on offense, you got your guys like Keenan who's healthy. You got Melvin Gordon. You got Phillip Rivers. It's like, dude, what's the issue? What is the issue at this point?
I mean, it was Keenan Allen had like 138 yards. I want to say 140 yards receiving.
Well, he didn't do shit then.
Yeah, right. And then Tyrell Williams had 100 yards and a touchdown too. But Gordon was pretty silent throughout the day.
Yeah.
That was.
So do you think like maybe?
Like, I'm not a fan of the Chargers. Why am I always defending them?
No. But I'm fascinated by the Chargers because again, and it's not even like I ball bust a little bit as you do, but I just feel like they should be. Like, on paper, man, they should be winning games.
And
why are they not winning games?
That's why I'm defending them all the time, because I feel like they should be. I feel like they have the talent to do it, and they just never do it. And
it's got to be the move, man. That's what we just have to chalk it up to the fact they're like, we don't want to go. It's like, but you weren't winning.
I'm never picking LA.
You know what though? If you're gonna throw yourself under the bus, I'm gonna tell everybody why I lost the eliminator poll. I picked the Pats over the Panthers.
Yep. Now we're moving on to that one. We got Carolina 33, New Orleans 30.
Oh man, dude, come on! Did you watch the game? Because
yes, I did actually. I was at a bar and I had a bunch of games on, so I wasn't watching it totally, but yes, it was on there.
Dude, tough loss by the Pats. And all I say, you know what? Mark it here on Quick Quips, Feelin Fine, Ridin the Pine recap. I promise you, Brady is going to come out swinging. He is done with this nonsense. He is done with the Kansas City Chiefs and Cam Newton coming back from the dead. He is going to light the league up.
I mean, my takeaway is this the Cam that was promised?
Yeah. I hope so. I really hope so for Carolina's sake, man.
3 touchdowns and a rushing touchdown too. I mean, Funches had a couple touchdowns. Benjamin had 104 yards receiving.
Yeah,
it was against a bad Pats defense, but this was the Cam Newton we were expecting to light up this year. But he was coming off a shoulder surgery. He had total reconstructive rotator cuff surgery, and this is just for me. I mean, he was running the ball more than I've seen him so far this year, and he looked like he was okay with the contact. But I think coming off a shoulder injury is a
he didn't look skittish. And you know what's fun about Cam is like when you watch him play, he elevates everybody, and that's such a cliche thing to say, but like Devin Funchess really, or like Tengid resurgence, or like he just when he's at that level, like the entire team, it's like it's anybody's ball game. You know what I mean? Like, probably one of the reasons that Christian McCaffrey really didn't go off in fantasy just because, Cam was in a zone. And, like, when Cam's in a zone, it's look out, get out the fuck out of my way.
That was, I mean, we can get into that a little later, too, but that was something that I thought would happen, and it didn't. I mean, McCaffrey looked very pedestrian in that game.
He did.
And I think it's just still a guy that you can use in fan. We'll get into that later. But yeah, Cam Newton looks really good, and that defense did just enough.
Did you guys hear that? That was me flipping to my fantasy.
So I would like to do a couple more games. We have a few left. We can do, LA Rams 35, Cowboys 30.
I want to go on note to say that was the first time any host for men in scoring position actually said LA Rams out the gate without correcting themselves. So kudos to Bill right there. Good job.
Thank you. No longer St. Louis and the LA Rams.
All right, go ahead. LA Rams, brother. That was a hell of a game, and I feel really good about that because if you guys listen to episode 41, I said I had a gut feeling that the Rams are going to pull it off. I think that I think they have an amazing coach right now that's highly underrated. I think their run game is phenomenal. I think that Jared Goff is sophomore. What's the opposite of slump? He's in a sophomore hump.
Yep,
He's feeling himself right now. And the Cowboys, they did a lot. I think they put up like 21 points in the second quarter. So they had that offensive, But, at the end of the day, the Rams got it done.
They did. And Gurley looked amazing, 200 total yards from scrimmage. Goff looked very
precise.
What's the word? Yeah, precise. He looked very not dependable, comparable, whatever you want to call it. Like he looked like a professional
like a Russell
quarterback.
Wilson, like Russell Wilson.
He's not a Russell Wilson.
Listen, Russell Wilson doesn't put up amazing numbers, but when he manages the game, he does it well.
Disagree with that one. He looked like a pretty decent quarterback out there. Cooper Kupp was decent in the slot there. And this was a team that needed, I think, the past couple of years. This was a team just like the Jaguars that people would talk about, like, oh, they're on the come up. They have a young quarterback. Like they just need this, and this to happen, and they seem to let down year after year. And I think that was because they had Jeff Fisher as their head coach. And if you guys have listened to the podcast a couple of years, I just never liked Jeff Fisher as a head coach. That Super Vanilla.
He was a very chocolate coach, right?
He's a very chocolate swirl coach.
Bill, I actually have a really, really fun statistic. Can you tell me who the number one team in points this year is as a whole offensively? The Rams, man. They are averaging 35.5 points a game, and they are fifth in yards at 383.8 yards a game. They're also fifth in passing at 270 yards a game, man. Like, the Rams are weird creepers right now. I really feel like they're going to plateau soon. But give credit where credit's due, man. The Rams are winning football games in style, and they're 3-1.
Absolutely, and it's the you gotta win games on your schedule, and they have so far.
Dude, you just gotta play football, and you gotta win games. That's our podcast.
And McVay's done a really good job with the play calling and switching up and getting Gurley more involved in the passing game because he wasn't involved last year. And I think he's just totally leaving the defense up to Wade Phillips, and the defense is doing just enough
to get them over the hump.
To be okay, and that's all you really need, especially with an offense that, I mean, you added Cooper Kupp, you added Sammy Watkins,
who have been phenomenal additions. Let's not downplay it. They've both been, I would love to have a Sammy Watkins or Cooper Kupp this year on my team, if you will.
No, not if I will. Your team literally has the worst wide receivers in the game right now.
We're going to fight via Skype. Ready?
Done this multiple times, but like adding an offensive line with Andrew Whitworth, I mean, they've done enough, and they're winning the games they're supposed to, and that's all that really matters. And with Seattle looking pretty bad, especially the offensive line, and losing another. And let's get to that right now, actually. So it was.
I was going to say, hit me with the blowout, baby.
Seattle, what was the final score?
46-18.
46-18, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Seattle hit them down the stretch, man. Seattle really hit them down the stretch. In the second half, man, they put up 36 points. I mean, there's nothing.
I was watching the first half, and then it was a really
first half was
game.
very pedestrian, very Seattle. You know what I mean? Like I think it was 10 points in the first half, and they were
Seattle
down.
Is
they
a
were
very
down 15.
Pedestrian friendly city. I get that. Yeah,
pedestrian first half-esque team, if you will. But yeah, and then they just came out and they did the Seahawks thing, man. They lit it up.
And with the running backs for the Seahawks, who was it? McKissick came out, scored a couple touchdowns, one rushing, one receiving. Chris Carson got put on the IR, which is a hit for me because I picked him up in my keeper league there. They still have Eddie Lacy, CJ Procise, and Thomas Rawls. Doug Baldwin has been battling a couple injuries. So, I mean, they obviously took care of business. The defense looked really good. I think they scored a touchdown. and they shut down Jacoby Brissett, which maybe isn't the hardest thing in the world, but they shut
Sure.
him down. Yeah.
Well, you know what's fascinating to me, man, is like we harp on these guys for numbers, right? Like the Kirk Cousins or whatever. He always, for some reason, flies under the radar, and I've always been big on him. I'm always like, this guy plays ball and he puts up numbers, and it's like, and then I look at like Russell Wilson, right? Like just right now, he was 295 yards in the game and 2 touchdowns, right? Nothing to really get you like, oh my God, Russell Wilson, right? But then you look at his completion percentage, dude. He was 21 for 26.
Yeah,
and like that's
he's been
not
like that
that's
all
not
year.
including like drop passes, right? That's assuming that every receiver catches a pass. He would have been 26 for 26, I'd imagine. You know, from what I saw in the game, he looked awesome. They're lacking a complete. They have no rush whatsoever. Eddie Lacy was their leading rusher, and he had 11 carries for 52 yards and no touchdowns.
Yeah.
So you know, what are you going to do when it comes down to that? But you know. I think I'm fascinated by Russell Wilson because he puts up these borderline numbers, but I would love to look at his career winning percentage. It's got to be astronomical. Like he's awesome.
He's a really good quarterback. Borderline is a harsh word when it comes to Russell Wilson. He's been in the top probably 10 quarterbacks, for a while
right,
now.
Right, but what makes him top 10 is what, like, I think that's what I'm fascinated with. Is it because he's got the Aaron Rodgers arm? No.
He doesn't.
You know what I mean? Like there's nothing. Is his numbers eye-popping like Brady? No.
Does it like Breeze, he does? No, but he throws
is he dominant out the gate more often than not in recent memory in big games? No. He's like a down the stretch fourth quarter game manager stud. And that's what puts him in that realm. It'd be really cool to do a segment on that, I think.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you want to talk about another game manager, if you want to talk about tonight's game.
Oh, jeez.
KC comes out 29?
My boy.
20.
First overall pick.
After a a late second, whatever you want to call it, field goal, then that weird fumble Ruski, pitch the ball back type of touchdown. But this was a hell of a game.
It was an awesome game. It was a really good game. It was. It wasn't a barn burner. It was good defensively. It was good offensively. It was good. It was well coached. I watched it from start to finish. It was anybody's game. The Chiefs, the score doesn't do it justice. I think it was 29-20 at the end of the game. It should have been like 23.
No, it was. And then Houston got the late second touchdown.
Yeah, exactly. So Kansas City, I think you meant.
Houston. Justin Houston.
Oh, Justin Houston. Yes. Sorry, I was like, oh, no, we already went over that. It was a blowout. No, so, yeah, I mean, if you discredit that for whatever reason that you would, the game was awesome. Kirk Cousins looked amazing. And Kareem Hunt, even though the numbers aren't eye-popping, his running was awesome. The guy gets extra yards when he shouldn't. And then the real stud in this entire game to me was Terrell Pryor. He had that one major drop, but this guy he's pretty awesome, man. He came out the gate really, really, really strong. I think he had that one deep pass for like 40 some odd yards. So I still think of Terrell Pryor running it from like the 2-yard line in Oakland. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To go from that to wide receiver in the NFL is quite an accomplishment. So
you
know what? I want to segue to you though, buddy. I know you're wearing red, and I know we're out of teams. So why don't you talk to us about that Sunday game against?
Oh yeah, I kind of forgot about that game.
Yeah, did you though?
Almost had a fucking heart attack with. Oh, God damn it! Just why the fuck do our kickers suck? That's all I have to say. I mean, we did just enough to win that game. We should have won more handily, I think. Eli Manning looked pretty decent against us. We had no T.J. Ward, no Levante David, no Quan Alexander.
Well, before you get into that, tell everybody what the game is and who your team is.
You should have fucking watched. So that's your own problem. Tampa Bay 25, the Giants 23, winning on a last-second field goal by Nick Folk, which, oh my God, I thought he missed it. Well,
that's what you're accustomed to down there.
I'm so used to losing this game. I'm so used to my team losing this game after have a little hype behind them, coming against a team that maybe has a little more talent or equal talent who's kind of on a skid. It's like they're supposed to win. The Giants are supposed to win this game. The Giants are supposed to win this game, rally off 5 or 6 games in a row, and then be number one in the NFC East. That's what it's supposed to happen.
Right.
And we were more than willing to let them stay in and almost complete that narrative. But in the end, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got it done. Winston looked pretty damn decent, super efficient, and distributed the ball really well. I want to talk about the O.J. Howard play, which is my personal favorite play that Dirk Cutter has run for the past couple of years, even with his new offensive coordinator. So it's a designed play-action rollout where he rolls out to the right, and this time it was O.J. Howard as the number 2 tight end, 3 tight end set, and O.J. Howard fakes like he's blocking. It's a delay wheel route. So he fakes like he's blocking, and he comes out the left side, and Winston's rolling out to the right. So he's wide fucking open. And we did this last year a couple of times with Charles Sims. So we had a number 2 running back, Charles Sims, fake like he was blocking, delay wheel route. So we just kind of changed up a little bit. But that is my favorite play that we run. And O.J. Howard was wide open, and he was athletic enough to run it for 60 yards for a touchdown. And that was just super cool to see us use our first-round pick like that.
That's and it takes a lot of balls, man, especially from a coach that. I mean, how long's Cutter been the head coach now? Is this year 2? It's 2, right?
Yeah, year 2.
Yeah. So I mean, like for him to actually pull the stops like that on a kid like that, I think is phenomenal. I'm huge on O.J. Howard. I actually picked him up in one of my fantasy football leagues. Obviously, didn't start him for fantasy purposes, but that's really cool, man. You guys. I don't know. You guys have a little twinkle twinkle dust going on right now, man. It's fun to watch. You guys had the hurricane, that little hurricane issue.
Sure.
So
yeah.
I don't know if you guys. I mean, dude, the Giants are 0-4, and you're the guys that made that happen. Which I think you and I on episode 41 we talked about it, man. We were like, I don't really see the Giants going 0-4. It doesn't happen like that. They fuck up. Eli wakes up, he goes pedestrian, and he wins games. And for some reason their running backs do their job. But today or not today particularly, but Sunday, October 1st, it didn't happen. And you guys got the job done. So kudos to you guys.
I mean, we did just enough to win the game, and that I was watching it at a New York Giants bar, which was pretty cool.
Just rub it in. Did you just put your dick in front of everybody? Were you just
no? What I did was so I stood up. I thought Nick Folk missed it, and I was like, "Damn it, he missed it."
Nick Foles, was that the first Nick Foles shout out?
Nick Folk.
No. You said Foles first.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, I fucked up with that one. Nick Folk. So Nick Folk, I thought
7 touchdown kicker.
So I thought he missed it. I was like, damn it, he missed it. And then I stood up when he made it, and I was like, I'm really sorry. Then I went to the bathroom.
Dude, own it, buddy. Hey, remember when you and I went to the Bears Bucks game? The Bears ended up winning that game. Got to throw that out there. But we had Boilermakers, and I ended up rooting for the wrong plays.
Yes, I
so
remember.
It's okay, man. Players fuck up. What are you gonna do?
What are you talking about? He looks like he missed it. What are you talking about? All right, don't watch the game. So moving on to our fantasy football recap.
Whoa! Time out. Say it, buddy.
What?
No.
Feeling fine, riding the pine. So,
oh my God, no enthusiasm. We are feeling fine and riding the pine with men in scoring position.
It's very true. Very true. So I thought I'd just do this with. I'm just gonna go down my list of. You want to do feeling fine, whether won or lost, or you want to do wins losses? What do you want to do?
You know what? I'll come out the gate and say that I was 500 with my predictions. So I mean we could just go back and forth, man. Let's start from the bottom up. So start with flexes, tight ends, and then move our way up.
So I was feeling fine about Tyler Lockett. He's fixed at 9 points. He ended up getting you 12. Consider that a win. 4 catches, 67 yards. Had a couple. I think he had 20 yards rushing as well. I was more confident with him if Doug Baldwin was out, but Doug Baldwin was playing. However, being up so high late, he got a little more play time. Plus, if you're in certain leagues, he gets you points because he's the punter too. So I like Tyler Lockett this week, and he got you 12. So I'm okay with that one.
Nice. Well, I actually go position for those of you who listen to our podcast. I will say that I said to start Jimmy Graham, the Seattle Seahawks. He was projected at 11 points. He ended up getting you 10. Not the end of the world. Pretty solid right there.
Yeah,
Not what I wanted. I was hoping that he would have got you around 15, 18. But go fuck yourselves because he got you 10.
Exactly. Go fuck yourselves. Moving on. If you listen to me about Cameron Brate, you'd be very happy. He was projected at 5. He got you 18. 4 catches, 80 yards, and a touchdown. He is Jameis's still go-to, and the tight end goes O.J. Howard. Had a couple catches this week, including that one we were just talking about with the design rollout. And moving forward, O.J. Howard might be more the number one option, but he still really trusts Cam Brate, especially in the red zone. And at the end, he had a very big catch to get in field goal position to win the game.
I honestly, I was like, there's no way. Like, you were super high on Cameron Brate.
Told you, buddy. I told you.
I'm like, you're a homer at that point. But no, I stand corrected, man. That was awesome. A guy that I'm not pumped about, man. I think he came back down to earth on my Feelin fines. I told you guys to go Rashard Matthews. He was projected 12. He only ended up getting you 7. So for that, I apologize. But at the end of the day, I didn't.
Keep it up. Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself. I didn't see the Tennessee Titans getting blown out that hard. They got blown
I don't think anyone did.
They got blown out hard.
A loss I considered. I said start Adam Thielen basically over Stephon Diggs. Thielen was projected at 12. He got you 8, 559, which would have basically got you that 11, but he had a fumble, so back down to 8.
Those goddamn fumbles.
So, yeah, it is what it is. And if Sam Bradford comes back, that's the guy in the future you can definitely start. But until he does, and with Cook out.
That's true. I mean, I know that name doesn't like ring bells, but Sam Bradford gets the job done. A guy that I have always been high on, will continue to stay high on, regardless of this week's turnout, was Golden Tate. He was projected at 13 points. He only ended up getting you 5, but hang tough, guys. He leads the Lions in targets week in, week out for the past 2 years. So just relax. I promise you it's going to happen. It was an anomaly, I would imagine. So I'm riding. I'm live by the sword, die by the sword with Golden Tate. The guy produces. He's a solid 2, solid flex.
Absolutely. A guy that I was feeling fine about that I kind of hit even with was Jamal Charles. I said he'd get over 5 points projected. He got you 5. So
there you go.
Projection. Yeah, there you go.
It is what it is.
C.J. Anderson definitely dominates that running back field.
Yeah, I think he's a clear-cut horse because I actually picked up Jamal Charles and I was wondering is C.J. anything? Because he's still Jamal Charles at the end of the day.
He has not changed his name.
He hasn't. He's not an Ocho Cinco. He's not a Cinco Ocho. He's just So yeah. CJ, as you said, is the clear front runner. Another running back that I failed you guys on, but you all can still go fuck yourselves, is Mixon. He was projected 12. He only ended up getting 7. Billy, I know you're hurt about this. What are your thoughts?
Moving on. So I was feeling fine about Tyrod Taylor. I was wrong. They won the game, but he was ranked at 17. He got you 12. It was a very game manager game where he had 180 yards, I think one touchdown, and they ended up winning. But nothing to write home about. Only 12 points for you there.
That's kind of what any fantasy owner who's had Tyrod Taylor feels, man. That's what he does. He has all the potential in the world, but he manages games.
And yet he's finished in the top 10 the past 2 years.
Dude, numbers lie. Numbers lie. Just check out David Johnson. All right, moving on. Guys, I apologize. I'm still going to ride this horse because I feel like it's like Novocaine. Give it time. It always works. Oh, Christian McCaffrey. He was projected at 14. He got 8. I didn't know it was going to be the Cam show. I thought that Cam's shoulder was still fucked till next Sunday. The guy ends up going off. So for that, I apologize. But at the end of the day, go fuck yourself.
Word. So that's it for my feeling fine. Do you have any more feeling fines? Or?
I do. And actually, this is my one and only high note. Ladies and gentlemen, drum roll. Can I get a drum roll, Bill? Oh, dude, I just got hard.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Deshaun. He was projected at 14. He got you 33.8 points. You're welcome in standard PPR leagues. He had 4 touchdowns. He had 283 yards, and he only had 1 interception
and 1 rushing touchdown.
Yeah. No, I was getting there. Thank you, sir. He's the real deal. I think he's awesome. Again, this is kind of an anomaly of a game. It was a blowout. I don't really expect those to happen, but I think you can consistently assume that he's going to be 2-1-1 with about 250 to 280. So that is a standard starting quarterback in my opinion. Go Deshaun Watson.
There you go. I like that. So I was a little better faring in my Ride the Pine segment. I will say that my one loss was Stephon Diggs, and it was only barely because I based mine on if they go over or under their projections. Stephon Diggs was projected at 13. He ended up getting you 14, 5 for 98. He is just clearly the number one target, even if it's Case Keenum or if it's Sam Bradford. And I don't know if he lost his number one position at wide receiver for fantasy, but he is still up there. I mean, he's still a really good player.
Absolutely.
And, this is the guy that you can definitely start moving on, especially with hopefully you would think, not hopefully, but like with Dalvin Cook being out, you would think they'd emphasize more of the pass game. But then again, at the same time, you have to look at maybe if Cook's out, they key more on the pass game. So, you can start with Latavius Murray, but whatever. Yeah.
Well, see, I feel like that entire offense is just kind of a morph. You know what I mean? You never really, barring injury, you don't know what's going to happen. I think that they're also picking up the pieces as they go. For me, I'm going to start from the bottom again. Tight ends that I told you guys to stay away from were the San Diego tight ends and Hunter Henry and Antonio Gates. They actually were right around their projections. I think Antonio Gates was projected at 6. He got 4. Hunter Henry was projected at 7. He got 9. Not a bad start if that's somebody that you want to start in super deep leagues. I get it. So I don't really call it a loss on my end, but at the end of the day, go fuck yourself.
If you had to start one, would it be Henry or Gates?
Well, I mean, you got to go with the young buck, right? I mean, Gates is good. He's garbage time at best at this point.
No. You guys had the old bull. Now you want the young stud. So a tight end that I was down on, who I said should ride your pine. I think hopefully you listened, and he did. Was Eric Ebron. He's ranked at 8. He got you half that. 2 catches, 27 yards. And
you got to say that fun, though, buddy. You got to be like, half that.
Half that.
There you go.
Half that.
He got you half that.
This is a guy that just can't stay on the field, not based on injury, but based on the fact he can't fucking block.
He can't block, man.
So you can't have him out there as much. He's a
because
glorified wide
snaps
receiver.
are getting taken away at the end of the day. So if you're going off of sheer fantasy, he's out there half the time.
And that's all it is. I mean, this is a guy who has high upside, but at the same time, his floor is low.
Super.
So
Super, yeah. Speaking of super, man, I got to go with one of my Ride the Pines is Cooper. I feel like this is a win for me, actually. You know what? I apologize. I wasn't 500. I was 6-10. I read this wrong. Cooper was rated 12, and he got you 2. Yeah, so I just feel like that. I feel like the Los Angeles Rams are kind of the real deal. I feel like they're using him as a diversion, and I feel like they're a little stacked right now. I feel like the offense runs through Gurley, and the number one wideout option will be Sammy Watkins. I got to look at the targets. But it just doesn't seem like Cooper is at least for this week was the guy. He was projected at 12 and got 2, and I'm not wrong. I know. You guys feel that? You guys feel that?
Well, no, because you're talking about Amari Cooper, but stating that he's Cooper Kupp.
Oh Jesus! Oh my God! Oh my God!
No, so it's like you're right. If you guys just go back and replace Amari Cooper. No, sorry. Wait. If you just replace the Raiders.
I felt so good about that. I was like, But that was a good analysis. If it would have been Amari Cooper, I apologize.
Yeah,
I did. This is actually one of the guys. Yes, I apologize. Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper to
I'm gonna go take a lap. Jeez Louise. I was so excited about the segue with the pooper and the Cooper. Yeah, Amari Cooper didn't get it done as I predicted. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Very true. And especially with EJ Manuel starting for him the next couple of weeks. I mean, this is not a guy that is going to be the top 5, top 10 talent that you think he is. Unfortunately.
We'll see on that. I know with Carr he's not. With Emmanuel, who knows? Who knows? You never know.
Yeah. A guy that I was down on this week, T.Y. Hilton, projected at 13. He had a big game last week. He only got you 6. 3 catches, 30 yards, despite the fact they were down by 20 points going into the third quarter. So you would have thought, oh, garbage time. Nothing really there.
Why don't they seek these guys? I don't get it. I don't get it. You have to seek those guys. Those are your go-to guys, man. That's a playmaker. He's the guy that can turn up field and get you extra yards. Mine again was Pierre Garçon. I know he was hot on the waiver wire. They projected him at 11. He got you 7. Hopefully you heeded my warning. Not really what you really want. So
heed my words.
Heed my words.
I hope you didn't start beast mode.
That was mine too. That was my next one. Let's go 12-1, baby.
Projected at 12. He got you 1. 9 carries, 12 yards. Again, Derek Carr going out was not a help to them whatsoever. But it's not a guy I think you can comfortably start moving forward because he doesn't catch passes out of the backfield. You have, I don't know if it's Richard or Richard, Jalen Richard, and Washington who catch passes out of the backfield, especially with EJ Manuel in there who has been proven not to be a very good quarterback.
I just feel like the league's been put on notice when it comes to Lynch. I mean, if he's in the backfield, they're either going to hand him the rock or he's going to, it's going to pass protect. And
yeah,
there's no in between. I mean, if you're a defensive coordinator that's been in the league over 5 years, you're going to know what to do in that scheme. Like a cover 2. So he is still beast mode, but what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. All right, who's your last?
The one that I was super, I think, other than beast mode, because this is plus minus. Beast mode was minus 12. Minus 11. This guy was minus 12 for his projection. He was projected at 19. Only got you 7. I said Matt Ryan should ride your pine, and hopefully he did. Only 240 yards passing with a touchdown, which was, by the way, the first touchdown the Bills gave up on a pass this year, but also 2 interceptions and a fumble. And I think the past 2 weeks he's gotten you 5 interceptions and 2 fumbles. And I just think Matt Ryan is not the same. He's obviously not the same. He's not the MVP Matt Ryan from last year. It's a new offensive coordinator. They're relying more on the run. Julio Jones went out. Mohamed Sanu went out. And we'll see when they get back. And if they aren't in, he is not a quarterback I think you can start moving forward.
Right. I actually, I'm with you, man. I'm not a big Matty Ice guy in terms of fantasy in general. So I feel like he's a guy that you can pick up on the waivers. Even in super deep leagues. I mean, I feel people really just kind of ride the name of him. Fantasy-wise, he's just not super productive outside of his MVP season. So another guy, my last guy, who kind of fits the mold of that would be Ben Roethlisberger. He was projected at 15, which to me is not enough to want to start, and he only got you 10. So yeah, hopefully you guys heeded my warning. And at the end of the day, go fuck yourself. Yeah, man, I feel like I feel pretty good outside of Cooper Kupp, but Amari Cooper did shitty, so I feel good about that.
True. I just want to say a quick shout out to Charlie Hogan. I played you this week in fantasy. I just want to say sorry, but I'm not sorry. I was down by 41 with Kareem Hunt and Alex Smith. Scored me 42. So I won the game.
Dude, that's like how you end friendships, because I literally was ahead of the pack, and it's neither here nor there. Guys, if you have stayed through this entire Quick Quips Feeling Fine Riding the Pine recap, thank you so much. We are the men in scoring position. Lastly, Deadpool picks.
Oh no, we both lost. So we'll buy back in next week.
We'll buy back in. Is that how it works?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, just to keep the ball rolling. Guys, again, Thank you so much for sticking through. You can find us on any one of our social media pages, Facebook, SoundCloud, iTunes, all self-titled Men in Scoring Position. You can also find us on Twitter and Snapchat at Men in Scoring POS. If you have any thoughts, comments, general overall points of views, feel free to contact us at menandscoringpod@gmail.com. And this is going to be uploaded exclusively to our Facebook page and YouTube. And Billy, what do they always need to do?
Rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend.
A plethora.
Cornucopia, if you will.
Yes,
Goodbye.
and guys, just remember, lastly, if you like us on any one of our social media platforms, you get complimentary tickets to the world-famous Laugh Factory at 3175 North Broadway. Love you guys.
Okay, goodbye for real.